Time now to check in with our news partners at KRDO News Radio. Dan Koshel from KRDO's Morning News joining us. Hey, Dan.
John, thank you very much. I've got a very important guest here in our studio today. We want to welcome in executive producer and director Bob Garner is with me right now, who is a resident of Monument. You live in Monument, but you have a lot of commuting between Monument and Los Angeles, right?
I lived in Los Angeles for nearly 40 years and based myself in Monument on the lake up there. I love it.
I love how your story and the fact that you moved out when you're 14 and you moved out when you were young, and your parents told you, hey, good luck, go to Los Angeles, see if you can get a job, and you wound up getting one.
They thought I'd be home, and I was a little older than 14. I'd finished college, and they said, well, let's let him give it a try. I wanted to get a job, summer job in the studios in Los Angeles, and they thought I'd be home in about 2 weeks, and it ended up to be 40 years, and it's still going.
And that was at
started really young.
The Carol Burnett show and
yes.
Some other great shows back in the CBS days. You also had some really great work with Disney. Let's talk about your Disney background and how this relates to your speaking engagements.
Okay, well, and Carol Burnett was a great start, which I share in my speaking engagements because I got my first writing break there, and I failed 6 times for CBS programming in New York. Finally, they accepted it when I was writing special material, and that led into production and direction. Carol and Red Skelton and other of the big shows went off the air, and I was out of work for a while, eating a lot of cereal and bananas. And I went back to my writing and wrote an article, long story short, for the Los Angeles and New York Times about whatever happened to the Mouseketeers, and that got me over onto the Walt Disney Studios lot in Burbank, California, and Walt Disney Imagineering is near there as well. So very long story short, I got a job there, newly married, and got a job as a writer-producer for them, and that led to staff work for 15 years, and I still produce and direct specials like the recent 90-minute special, Disney Treasures.
It is absolutely incredible, the background that you had. You've worked with George Lucas as well, Star Wars fame. When you start throwing out those types of things in your talks with the students, that must get their attention.
I think what it does, there's that old saying, there are more people more convincing than credible. It gives me the credibility, and then I show footage on the set of Pirates of the Caribbean and with George Lucas and John Lasseter, who started Pixar, and I've known John for a few years, and he started as a janitor at the park at Disneyland in Anaheim. And it's good for students to see how people started at the bottom. George Lucas always says it's not just who you know, it's how you know them. And he and I reconnected years later after I worked with him initially.
Absolutely phenomenal.
And Lewis Palmer Middle School, Dan Marcus has a class up there. Those kids are so talented. Other high schools, colleges, they don't know who Red Skelton and Carol Burnett are for the most part, but I talk about current things, and I like to motivate them and encourage them to pursue their dreams.
Well, Bob, thanks for taking some time out. We really appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks
Good
for
luck
having
with
me.
everything.